We're back with another episode of What the
Chill.
Podcast. This
Come
is
on.
an exciting podcast. It
Is, man.
is a pre-recorded podcast, but this is our last podcast before my man Ed Kamara has two amazing baby twins that are born. Yes,
Double clutching, baby.
my friend has double clutched.
Look, and I'm excited now. You see me all hyped, and I'm going to bring the intensity continuing on, if I'm able to make it week by week. But, if I can't make next week, then, you'll understand why. But, I'm excited. It's a blessing either way. And, yeah, man, it's going to be.
Is the date still the same?
Yeah, it's supposed to be the 25th, so which is our next podcast. So
while you guys are watching this podcast, my man's gonna be in the room double clutching, kissing two babies. Okay, I don't think it gets better than that. Turtle babies are cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're about to have somebody on the podcast that is pretty pumped about some turtle babies.
Yeah.
But I gotta ask you, man. What are you most looking forward to?
I don't know. It's because I've already had the experience of, my firstborn, who's only 17 months old. So
y'all were getting busy.
So, I really get it out of the way now. But honestly, dude, I think what I'm looking forward to the most is when we bring them home to our daughter.
Okay.
And seeing the interaction and seeing the first moment of just that sibling and just, it's almost like just a family all, because it's going to be me and her and newborns, but like just that first moment of all of us together, because there ain't nothing going to beat that. And it's going to be, I don't know, man, it's going to be special. And that's one thing that I'm looking forward to the most, to really hold true in my heart, because I know it's going to be hard. It's going to be a challenge the next year or so, but anything worth having is, worth investing in, especially when you talk about your legacy. That's why we're doing what we're doing on the podcast, trying to leave a legacy for other people and our knowledge and people we know in relationships. Nothing's easy, man. This isn't easy. I mean, we're doing this at almost 11 o'clock at night. You don't hear us complaining. We're doing this because we love this and we know what we're vested in, and for who our audience and, the people to come that wants to get into the hobby or in conservation and management, man. So, yeah.
All right, man. Before we get our guest on, I got one more question for you.
Me, all right.
Can you give the viewers? I mean, it's only two of us here right now, and by the time the viewers are actually watching this, I'm gonna assume your bundles of joy will be here. What are the names? Are you allowed to tell us?
We will actually be making the announcement of the names when they're born.
Okay.
So it's going to be, that's something my wife opt to. I mean, just to make it a little bit more special.
Edwina and Ed Jr. That's what I'm predicting. Edwina and Ed Jr.
Don't go there. I will have my son, which I'm totally stoked about. And, daddy's girl will never fail. But yeah, I'm excited. I have my baby boy and two beautiful daughters. So yeah, everyone will find out. Tune in to Kamar Outdoors or, my personal page to see the good news, see the newborn faces, and yeah, man, just excited.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as long as I've been knowing you in communication with you, I realized just now that I had no idea what your children's names were gonna be. I knew there had to be some magic going on inside that hat and muscle shirt of yours.
Yeah, it's taken a while for both of us to actually come to terms on names. The first one was kind of easy, but the second one was a little harder because you got two picks, and it's like, yeah, you ain't naming a turtle. It's like, so it's like you get to pick two names, which is kind of like weird. It's like, okay, we got one name, but guess what? You still need another name, and I'm like, this is something that a lot of people don't get to walk through, with twins. So it's like,
right,
it's. Yeah.
All right, guys. As much as I could sit here and talk about being a father, and I'm sure Ed could too, because it's one of the things that I'm most proud of. We're here to talk about turtles today, and we have a pretty exciting guest on today.
Enthusiastic, goofy. Can't wait to see when he comes on to see what he's rocking now.
Yeah, man. This is like Samurai Jack of the turtle world.
Come on, man.
You know? I will say that I'm pretty excited about this one for a different reason than normal. I'd like to believe that our guest this week and I kind of came into the Terrapin world around the same time. And so I've been fortunate enough to experience most of his journey firsthand through regular communication. Meeting finally in person at the Daytona National Breeders' Expo last year was pretty awesome. And so I think it's pretty cool because something I always tell him is like, hey, man, you got to remember there's big people and little people. And right now we're still the little people. And us little people got to work together. Now, Ed, you're technically a little person now.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't necessarily know if you got on the scene the same time as Dan and I, which was what, 3-ish years ago, Dan? Shake your head if that's a yes. Officially, yeah, about that time. But yes, so our guest this week is none other than DanTheGuppyMan. He has made a guest appearance on a previous podcast where we talked about influence, if I recall, Ed.
Yeah, yep.
And so today we want to have him on and find out more about the YouTube sensation. So why don't we go ahead and welcome the biggest turtle nerd there is on the internet.
Living proof.
Hello.
What's up, turtle nerd?
Yeah. Hey, yeah, dude, my brothers always, they'll just come down. It's 9:00 in the morning. I'm barely woke up. They just come up to me. They go, hey, turtle nerds. I'm like, Jesus, H. Oh, my God. But yeah,
just turn around real quick. Just do a quick, just
180.
Yeah, they got to see why I called you Samurai Dan.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, dude.
It looks like your tail got bitten off and you're now missing your cloaca. Okay?
Dude, I got a nub. Yeah.
It's like, dude, you got Cody over here rocking a fresh fade, and I'm like still rocking my hat, which I always will, and my wife yells at me all the time, like, stop, take your hat off. It's at night. I'm like, look, take it as it comes.
It's the look, man.
Come on, man.
At least you're breedable. Dan's unbreedable now.
I know.
He has no cloaca.
Dude, that's what the girls always tell me.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait a little while for that, man. I got enough on my hands now.
Yeah, I know. Ed, congratulations. I mean, that's just great. I saw the news. I'm like, oh, twins? I'm like, oh, twins? I mean,
that's what I said when I was in the office, man. I thought I about fainted, and doctor was like, you need to sit down, go outside. I'm like, I need a lot more than that. I need Jesus right now.
Hey, can I say something? I gotta admit, Ed, if you should have more children, I'm gonna pray for you that you do. I gotta admit, I thought your gender reveal was gonna be like you guys sitting on an alligator, snapping turtle with like a balloon in its mouth, and it pops and busts the color, man. Like if anybody would have told me somebody was gonna have a gender reveal like that, I would have assumed it was you, bro.
I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if we were really connected when we did our newborn with my first daughter, but we had a little crochet turtle outfit for her. So she had a little turtle back crochet with the little thing. Dude, she was, oh my gosh.
That's so cute.
Like
the first female Ninja Turtle sounds like.
Come on.
All right. Dan.
Yes,
for the viewers that may not know you, can you go ahead and give them a little information about yourself, who you are, where you can be found, and why we might have you on this podcast today?
Yeah, sure. So I am, how to put it? I mean, I've been working with turtles for the past 8 years or so. So since I was like 13, if my math is probably wrong, but about 3 years ago, I decided to make.
Are you old enough to drink yet?
Yeah, finally, thank God.
All right,
but I've been in freaking quarantine, so I've yet to. I bought my first drink like 3 weeks ago. I was like, oh, this is great. And so I started my YouTube channel about 3-ish. I mean, I've had it since I was like 14, but I've only been like consistently uploading about 3-ish years ago. Just trying to educate people on how to properly take care of turtles because I wanted to sort of express what I have learned along the way. And I found out, my first breakthrough was, oh, you don't actually need to keep a turtle in an aquarium, and so I was just trying to help people cut costs and sort of prove that you can keep your animals happy and extremely healthy and not break the bank and not have to do everything the way that other people are saying. And I just wanted to be another resource that people could come to and sort of be for gaining more knowledge and trying to take care of their animals the best way they can. So now I'm on YouTube as DanTheGuppyMan for now, for the next like 2 weeks or so. And then it's changing over to Dan the Turtle Man. So
Finally.
a little bit. Yeah, I know. Finally, I was thinking about it. I put it in my Patreon. I'm like, what do you guys think? Everyone's like, yeah, change it. I'm like, all right. I'm on Instagram too. I'm trying to be more active on there as well. I'm on Facebook in the Diamondback Terrapins group. That's like my home. I mean, every time there's a post there, I always get excited. But that's sort of me. I try to make it entertaining too, if I can. So yeah, that's.
So you are actually 21.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I know a little information about you personally.
Oh yeah.
But can you tell us a little bit about your educational background, what you're going to school for?
Sure.
Kind of your career aspirations, things of that nature.
Yeah, sure. So let's see. I'm going to school down in Florida for environmental studies is the major. And under that major, you have to have a minor. And I thought that biology was too hard of a major. So I'm doing environmental studies with a bio minor. And then because I want to fall back in case I'm not making money, I'm also doing computer science. So, times get hard and I just start freelance programming, which sucks, but it would be helpful to have,
Right.
And so, my career aspirations are just conservation, turtle stuff. Just people tell, oh, what do you want to do? You want to work in a zoo? You want to work in an aquarium? Like you want to dig ponds? I'm like, I just want to do turtle stuff for the rest of my life. Like that's just it. Be it at a zoo, be it at an aquarium, be it, going to graduate school, getting my PhD, which now became a conversation topic at my house. So we'll see about that. Just whatever route that I can go to. Oh yeah, well, my initials are already DR. So I've always been a doctor, but I'll be Dr. So
Dr. Dan.
Yeah,
Dr. Dan, the Turtle Man.
Yeah, that'll be a couple years down the road, a whole nother rebrand.
We still got plenty of life left in you, man. I'll tell you what, man. I'm still in my. I think we're all still in our 20s. I mean, until a couple months, October 2nd, I'll be 30. I'll be hitting that.
November 9th.
Prime 30.
That'll be great.
One thing I want to ask you, you were talking about, you're just getting more. You're involved for about 8 years, starting. You really started getting active about 3 or whatever years. What was that factor as far as that made you have the confidence, knowing that you were like, okay, I have something to give, because I know it takes time to develop to where you get that kind of like that notch under your belt. You're like, I know I'm confident in my abilities. Not that you're big headed, but you're confident in your abilities to where, okay, taking that leap to be able to actually know that you're proving that you're giving something of quality, to back that up. Like, what was that time frame and what was that biggest challenge or hurdle to get over to start actually pushing for more and to give something?
Sure. So I think that's kind of interesting because I don't think I ever thought, I am correct now. Like what I'm doing is entirely right. I think that my point was to try to tell people just what I have learned, tried, and has proven to be useful and effective. And so the time that started was I used to live in Pennsylvania up until I finished high school. And as soon as I finished high school, we moved. And so it was sort of weird. It was like the end of an era because I had to leave I had a pond that I built when I was 13 back at that house. And Oh man, I did turtles for so long there. I mean, that was where I did all my experiments. I had a 300-gallon stock tank that I would bring outside, keep the turtles in that, and then in the wintertime, I would roll it down the basement stairs and set it up downstairs for the winter. So I just thought that I had done enough, and I don't know. I just thought that I'd been raising turtles well. They were all happy. They were all healthy. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to document, starting fresh because I was in my dorm when I started trying to be semi-consistent. I was starting fresh, had just gotten a hatchling. And honestly, the number one driving factor, there was two factors that were one and one with each other. I saw other people doing it and said, I can do this too. And number one was trying to educate people and just help them take the best care of their animals as they can. Because in my opinion, they were all happy, they were all healthy, they look great. Just I thought that I had learned enough at that point to start sharing. And then I wanted to make enough. I wanted to make it a side job, a part-time job. I thought this is great. It'll be a side business. Like it'll be perfect. My own hours, like my own creative freedom and whatnot. And I'm now almost barely reaching the point where it would be considered like a part-time job. But I mean, now it started out more financially driven, to be honest. I was like, screw it. I'm going to make money with this. And then I started doing it. And I'm like, I actually just enjoy it. I love it. Sometimes YouTube is not nice to me and I couldn't care less. Like they don't promote the videos and I just don't care anymore. It's just so fun. But yeah, that's sort of.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you? You started making it semi-consistent to make the first dollar from YouTube.
That was 2018, I want to say. But
Okay.
they had criteria. They had different criteria then. I think it was 1,000 subscribers.
It still
It still is. Okay, so then that was before then. It was like you need this many watch time. You need this many people like watching, like total watch time. You need like this many views. It was views. It was views. It was you need one of your views to be like 10,000 views or something. And I had been making like $30 a month or something. It automatically like went up because people were watching some of my really old stuff when I was like a 13-year-old kid squeaking and showing my little aquariums and stuff back when I actually had guppies. Yeah. And so then that was it for 2 months. And then they changed the criteria. And so I had to wait another like year before I saw any other monetary income from YouTube. But the first dollar was great. I was like, oh, okay, this is legit.
real.
Yeah, this is real. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. It was like $30 a month. I'm like, all right, that's like a little bit of turtle food. I can do that.
So how many subscribers are you at now?
I mean, last time I checked, it was 10,000, but now I know it's like 11 and a half, maybe.
So about 3 years, 4 years for that?
So yeah, the issue is that until very recently, I had not been uploading consistently. I'd been uploading maybe once a month, if that. And so YouTube promotes people who are consistent and who consistently keep people on the website so they can appeal to advertisers. They can make their money. I was not doing that, and I was very inconsistent. So if I had been uploading weekly for 3 years, yeah, I would have been way bigger than then. But just now with the recent pandemic, I sort of just stuck to it, and I was like, all right, now's the time. And I've just been keeping at it now for the past only a couple months, maybe 2 months.
So I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
We follow each other on our personal pages and whatnot. And so I'm sure you've seen that my wife and I have ventured out into the YouTube world.
Mm-hmm.
What would you give in terms of advice for the best way to gain more views and more subscribers? So my wife and I have argued. She says it's the tags.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm still trying to play around with the tags, the keywords, making it more marketable. And obviously they're different niches, but like,
Sure.
If you have any tips that would save me 3 years from figuring it out,
Sure.
that would be great. So
Sure. So, it's tough. I mean, it was very hard because I look at my videos from just a year ago and I'm like total 180. The
Yeah.
best thing I can say is, however confident you think you're being half as confident as you should, probably. Like,
Okay.
try to be as out there as you can. Not too much, not to the point where you're not being yourself. But I mean, I used to just kind of be like, yeah, so today, so what you're going to do with your turtle. Now I'm like, listen, bitches, like you're going to take your turtle and you're going to do all this stuff. And like, just I try to be as fun with it as I can because, I mean, I'm not allowed to curse on YouTube, but if I could, oh man, it would be a whole nother ball game. But I try to keep it as family friendly as I can. So for you, get the thumbnails right. I use Canva, which is the most blessed website I've ever found, and I use it to make all my thumbnails. And then I use an off-brand
Are
photo.
those tags?
So thumbnails and tags are
No,
your
your thumbnails.
thumbnails.
The picture that comes up.
I would say that's one of the most important things. The tags, I don't think are that important actually, because YouTube's actually told me in the little thing, it gives me the option to put tags, and it says in little parentheses, this doesn't actually really help you. And I found that interesting. I was like, so why do you have it? So I stopped. I stopped filming.
Everyone's all about the hashtags. It's like, dude, how much time does that take? Golly.
Oh man, on Instagram the hashtags kill me. But
Hey, hashtags get me followers on Instagram. Not even gonna lie.
True. Oh, 100%. On Instagram, they're a beautiful thing. Yeah. On YouTube, they're not really. They're non-existent.
So how does YouTube start to push the channel?
Family friendly, usually.
Okay.
Stuff that'll keep people on.
This is for kids?
I say no, that it's not for kids, because I don't make my content specifically for kids. Kids can watch it. Your parents can be happy if they sit me and put my channel and just hit play and let their kid watch it. There shouldn't really be anything bad. I try to keep it kosher. There's like 3 bleeped out curse words I've ever said.
Yeah, I've cussed a couple times in my videos. This last one was bad, man. I don't know if you watched it yet.
No, not yet. I've been wanting to though, but
it was a spicy challenge, and there were these jelly beans, and I have to admit, bro, there is no reason a jelly bean should be that hot. I don't even know how they got that flavoring in the jelly bean. I almost died.
Was it habanero or ghost pepper? Because one is here and the other is like.
I'm going to tell you this. I had ghost pepper popcorn, and that got me. But then towards the end, I had a jelly bean, and it was a cayenne pepper bean boozled jelly bean. And I kid you not, my throat burned until I woke up the next morning.
Dude, the next morning it comes. Yeah, the issue is that it comes out the way it went in. That's your main problem.
I didn't want to mention that, but I was like,
bro, you die. Oh, it's bad. I used to be able to handle spicy stuff until I ate the world's hottest hot sauce. And I can't do it anymore. It burns up my stomach. I don't know. I think it ripped a hole in my lining or something.
The spicy thing I eat is Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwiches.
That's good. Yeah. So, I would recommend, good lighting, good-ish quality camera. Most phones are good enough now. Jump cuts, because people have very short attention spans nowadays. What else? That confidence is going to help you in the long run.
When we get off this, I have to get your website for the thumbnails.
For sure. It's free to use, and it has, I've been using it for 3 years. You do need a different program though. So what I'll do is I'll go in and cut out different pieces. So for example, if I want me, but I want this photo of me, but just me with the background of a jungle, I would take this little quick select tool and I drag it all up around, and it'll quick select me. And then I invert the selection and, delete the background. But basically I need to use a separate program just to get a piece of a photo I want, download that, and then put it in that website. So the website doesn't do it for you. It helps me put everything together.
Gotcha.
So I use something else to pick and choose and then put it all together with that.
We could chat about that. We kind of went off on a tangent, and I'm talking to the people that are out here.
I can bring it back though.
That are out here and only care about turtles. But hey, you could be a viewer and you could want to start a YouTube channel about whatever you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, man. So,
I mean, my wife and I's channel, it'd be nice if we got money eventually. But one of the things that was important to us is our YouTube channel was A, made to help strengthen our relationship, but also B, kind of give information to people that are in relationships or married from somebody their own age. I feel like
yeah,
a lot of marriage advice that my wife and I got came from people who are way older than us, and we're looking at you and we're like, I don't think that applies anymore. Like, things are different, you know?
For sure. It's such a weird age. Like, not age as in like how old we are, but like
Right.
now, like the times, letting your kids sit on the iPad for 8 hours, like, things like that, and raising kids with technology and having to monitor, but also having to keep up with, everything that's going on. I don't know. I think it's insane.
that's the one thing I told my wife. I was like, look, they're gonna be outside and we're gonna be working with animals. That is the biggest thing that I grew up. I was like, look, that was me. I was always outside, born and raised hunting, fishing. I never, not that I couldn't have had the stuff, but I just.
You telling me you never had a Super Nintendo?
No.
You didn't have a Game Boy Color?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Did you play Pokemon?
I was gonna say, Ed, are we trading Pokemon or what? What are we doing after the show?
No.
All right, I'm judging you hard right now.
Look, I got some of the stuff.
Turtle was not a Squirtle in Pokemon. That's a real judgmental problem.
I got stuff like very late. Like it wasn't like, oh, I need this, and I got it right as soon as it came out. Like I think I was a little older when I was actually got some of the stuff because I was just like bored and still in high school and all that stuff.
You had a Game Boy Color in high school?
Dude,
no,
I don't even remember.
Me.
I don't even remember, dude. I don't. But I know I gamed a little bit. But I think honestly, that's where like even before college, like that's where I got a little bit more serious was with the big stock tanks in the bedrooms, and I actually had stock tanks in the bedrooms with carpeted rooms. Like it was like it got real, man.
Dude, it's fun.
One thing I want to ask you, Dan, was you mentioned about getting your first hatchling. When you started to kind of get revamped and re into it. Might be jumping ahead, but I'm kind of intrigued on what tops does your new scenario with your new hatchlings top your first hatchling? Like you got to kind of gauge, and I know you can't compare because they're totally different, but just give a kind of balancing act on both of them and the feelings and emotion based upon both of them. Because you're biting on a chomp right now.
Yeah. So yeah. So
first one, Bean. I just got to ask this. It's killing me. Okay. All right.
No, Bean was Bean was probably like my 14th turtle, to be honest. I had gone through a whole lot before the channel even started. And I never stopped getting into turtles, to be honest. So it wasn't even like I started when I started doing college. I had turtles up until the day. I had to store some of my turtles at my then girlfriend's house, right down the road from me while my family was moving everything. And she had to hold on to them for like 2 months until I found them homes. My first turtle ever passed away last summer. She was egg bound, which sucked, but it happens. And she lived the best life with Backyard Tortoise. I don't know if you guys know them, but I went and visited them, Bob and Susan. They were like the sweetest people, and they had lived like an hour from me. So I had brought my first hatchling home, to get back to your question, because I tangent all the time. My first turtle was a red ear slider, of course, purchased from a convenience store in Myrtle Beach, which is South Carolina. It's now like 20 minutes from me, funnily enough. Did I throw it out? I had this little green container that I brought her home in. And that was so exciting to have my own like little, I still have videos of her from, 9 years ago or something like that. And they're on my channel. And I keep that cringy stuff up of when I was a little squeaking kid because I want people to see where you can come from.
Yeah.
And so I had her, that was like amazing. But getting my own hatchlings has blown everything else out of the water. Everything else.
I got to ask this real quick. When did you get your first Terrapin?
My first Terrapin's a sob story. I still stay up at night about this one.
Really, dude? You just had to bring it down a notch, man. Come on.
You know what? Okay. Well, you know what? It's okay. It's all right.
Happy, okay?
Let's bring it back up then. I did my research. I knew how much they should cost. I went to a reptile show in Pennsylvania. It was my third turtle, was a terrapin. $40. Got the most beautiful little white northern. She grew insanely fast. I kept her in my pond in Pennsylvania. In one rainstorm, she said, "Nope, I'm out of here," because I just, I didn't know that you had to build enclosures and whatnot. So that sucked. That still stings. But Bean was able to finally fill part of that hole that left, because I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't get over it, because that was my first terrapin. Like that was, and so I just kept getting other terrapins, and just, I was like, why don't I feel anything? It was bad. I was like, why? And then, because my then girlfriend got me Bean, and she just was like, you need to make a setup now. It's on its way. And I was like, what? Because I didn't plan on keeping turtles in college. So I was at school. It was September freshman year. So 3 years ago, and I didn't plan on keeping them. And man, she just became my little pride and joy. And that was like my little turt. So she's sort of, it's great. I'm very happy. And she still has like filled that little hole a little bit more. And I'm just happy that I can educate people more and be like, hey, if you keep turtles in a pond, build a good fence. Build a really good fence.
I think you should also mention what gift Bean has provided you with.
By God's grace, as someone who's not like totally religious, but at times, man, I just pray. Like August 4th, after the hurricane that came through, I'm in South Carolina. I should start in the beginning. 2 months ago, the Bean starts acting funny. And this was shortly after some of my turtles got sick. Pancake almost drowned. One of them had a respiratory infection. She sprained her arm. I mean, very bad times, on top of school. And she was acting way funny. And I'm like, I swear, if one of my turtles got sick again after I just got over this hump.
Can you tell the viewers what you mean by funny, in case they don't know?
Sure. She stopped eating. She stopped coming to me. Well, she ate, but just not as much. She was basking more. She's actually foaming at the mouth a little bit, which made me scream respiratory infection. But she was just acting, not as much coming towards me. She started, this was a new one I'd never read up. She's swimming in the water, and her back legs start going like this together. So if they're supposed to be like this, and her tail's in the middle, she starts going like this. And I'm like, and I asked Jordan about that, and he said, well, she might have parasites. She might have worms. And I'm like, Jesus, come on. No, please, no. The next day, she is coming to me. She's eating like you wouldn't believe. I'm like, oh, she had eggs. I'm like, I'm telling you, because the day before, she starts trying to climb out of my pond, but got stuck in the net, and I tried to put her back up, but she went back in the water. That night, checked my security footage, 2 a.m., she rolls up, disappears behind a bush. An hour later, she goes back in the water. And so most terrapins with their first clutch, most turtles in general, their first clutch of eggs are no good. So I dug and dug and dug and dug. After 2 days, I said, probably no good, because Pancake, the only male that's bred with her, is also only 3, which is like beginningly like sexually mature, usually like probably 3 or 4, but I said, the odds are kind of low. First clutch of eggs, the fact that they'd be outside, I have fire ants, I have snakes, like I have all kinds of stuff. I'm like, if they're out there, so be it. That hurricane came, and I went outside. Oh man, I screamed. I was so excited. You guys might have seen the video. I have security footage, and I start calling from, because my mom and my dad are right there. I'm like, Mom, like, Buck, get the camera. I'm like, get out here. She comes running out. And I have these 2 precious little babies that were in my stock tank. And I had happened to go for a run that morning, stupid early. And had I waited and slept in like I normally do, they were in my juvenile tub. And those juveniles are piranhas. So just the luck, and the luck that I found them all 6 of them.
Wow.
Just the stars aligned. I just have to say, the stars aligned. She's only 3 years old. That male Pancake, I'm surprised that they were fertile. That
She was only 3.
She's only 3.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
And so she only had 6 eggs?
From what I understand, yeah, I was only
Wow.
able to find
That's
like a couple of
yeah.
the fact that it's 100% success rate on all the eggs. There's no duds. There's no runts. All 6 of them came crawling out of the ground like the little
Oh,
badasses that they are.
question. How
Sure.
was I mean, because a lot of people with the whole I mean, it was in the Carolinas, right? So you're
Mhm.
pretty in between the humidity and kind of
Sure.
heat. You notice like having that natural aspect, which a lot of people they don't almost get to experience that kind of legit natural setting. How
Mhm.
did like scoots great, no deformities? I mean, is there any kind of
They're perfect in
that's
every
awesome, man.
single way. Their egg sacs, their egg yolks are just like they were just like shriveled up. You know, they had fully absorbed them. Their scoots perfect. Um, Bean, I mean, she's a first time mother. She has no idea what the hell she's doing, and she gave me perfect babies. She chose the perfect spot. Let me tell you, it was hot. It was 90s for a week and a half. I mean, it was brutal. It hadn't rained. I mean, but she dug that hole. It's the reason I couldn't find them. You know, 10 inches down. She must have been all the way down, holding on like that into that hole because that nest was deep.
Hey,
And
let
she
me
did
ask
it perfect.
you, did you notice the weird shape of the nest? In my
Oh,
experience, they're
yeah.
like hourglass shaped. Did you
I
experience
was
that?
I was looking for that and I was waiting for it and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like find the classic flask shape. It was more she went in it was more it went down. It like totally stopped. And I was like, where on earth is the nest? Because I had dug down and I gave up. And if you see in my video, like I dug that out and then didn't find it and didn't realize that that was the actual nest until like an hour later when I dug even more.
Yeah, you had to
It
go.
went down and then not even deeper to the side.
Okay.
It like it went down and then it punched out. It
I mean,
was
it kind of makes sense. The terrapins like eat
mhm,
it,
yeah,
and it's kind of like
kind of
laying, filling the cavity, I guess you could say.
exactly. But it was just so weird. I mean, she must have packed that down. It was I don't know. It was so strange. And I dug that spot. I know the exact spot too. And I dug it and I couldn't find it. And I
You know,
repacked it down.
hmm. And that kind of bounces off of last week, Cody, with talking about the actual, first time mothers and how many were, in success rate, and
Sure.
she was talking about full success rate, and yeah, some of them, were, helped along, but like she was like some of them were size, and ages to, I mean, and all successful, and you can't tell me that how come a lot of people in the breeding aspect, the hobby, have a lot of issues and infertility? Well, is it really having to do with, and I'm not saying you can have the perfect setup, but is you almost can't beat if you can replicate their natural setting, and that just goes to show you, I'd say you can have a preference, you can do however you want, but if you want like almost as realistic, if you want them to be as natural, I mean, that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get the
Sure.
more natural, in all aspects.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that's just really encouraging,
Hmm.
hearing
I
that from last week.
I wanted to ask you this, Dan. Did you brumate yours?
Yeah. So, but the thing was,
I've heard some theories speculating that the brumation plays a major role in terms of the fertility as well.
hmm, um, I think that it helps. I think that it helps set the clock, the natural clock. But you
Yeah,
get someone like my friend Tony Siedelman, and he's in, I think, Washington. He's got them inside in a stock tank. Year round, that man is just like, I got eggs, and they just keep hatching and hatching. He's like, they just keep pumping them out.
right.
But I think that it's like I tell people, I think that it helps. I think that it helps for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it helps in terms of getting them to understand their
their
natural
seasons,
season.
sure.
Yeah, man.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'll speculate here. Maybe a subspecies like the ornate or the man grows, maybe not so much, but like the subspecies that actually have real seasons. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly. And so I was also surprised because I had them in a pond. What is the date? Okay, so last summer I had them in a little put together pond that I dug out. Ended up having to fill that, kept them in stock tubs until now in this new pond, and I brumated them in stock tubs. They were honestly in a 110-gallon stock tub, not even getting direct light. I had to give them a heat lamp. I mean, they've been moved around 3 times, 3 separate setups in the past year. And that's why I thought, you mess with females and they get spooked sometimes and they'll not give you any eggs. But I was so surprised that after all of that, after her subpar brumation, after being in a screened-in porch on my patio and having it be cold and breaking her arm, spraining the hell out of her arm, and she just popped up and she came through. And the cool thing is that now I know what she's like. And I have a 7-year-old, allegedly Centrata, the Carolina subspecies. She's 8 now. She has dug 3 nests and given me 0 eggs. And it's just so funny. She's 8 years old, and I have this first-time little 3-year-old mother, and it's just interesting.
I'll speculate here, Dan. It could have to do with the husbandry that Bean received for those 3 years versus what she may not have received for the years prior to you having her. Because if it's the female, I think it was more of a recent acquisition in terms of you haven't had her for 8 years.
Correct. That's true.
And also size comparison. I mean,
they're almost the same, which is interesting. But yeah, she was in a 70-gallon tank or a 75-gallon tank, full grown, which is, suboptimal. And the more that I think about it and the more that I'm starting to understand things, I think that it could be true that raising hatchlings and doing everything right from the beginning, on improper husbandry at an early age could play a factor in reproduction later, despite being perfectly set up. And like you said, with the ornates or the mangroves, I think that they might need a hot period of estivation where they just stick their asses in the mud and they just hang out for days, weeks, months at a time because it's too hot to do anything. I think that seasonality and exposing them to natural cycles is important. And even when I was keeping my turtles inside, I would click the lamp. So people say, well, how long do I keep it on? So people say 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day. I said, look outside. Sun's up, you plug it in. Sun goes down, unplug it. Simple as that.
Oh, I got to ask this.
Yeah.
You still flick on your lights?
Sometimes I'm lazy, and I'm so lazy that I decide to not be proactive and lazy and get a timer for my lights. And I decide to be so lazy that I would manually do it. I have nothing inside, but
literally have timers on every single indoor turtle setup. I am too lazy. I can turn them on. It's the turning off. I've woken up at 3:00 in the morning before and be like, oh God, I left the lamps on, and gone into the garage and just had the turtles basking at 3 a.m. And I'm like,
dude, I've done that too. It's so funny. And they look at you and you turn it off and they're like, do you mind? You get a look.
Dude,
yeah.
I still turn mine. Come on.
I
don't know. I'm not lying, man. The only one I usually forget about is the tortoise. I mean, but it doesn't seem to mind because he's always in the huddled, shelter.
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you gotta get on a timer, bro.
No, I don't want to. I mean, until I get to the point where I need to. But I mean, honestly, I enjoy the whole lights out kind of just wake up kind of. That's the first thing I do when I wake up. Other than, and this sounds bad, but the first thing other than I wake up, I work out, I get my regiment, then I go out, wake up. It's wake up time for the turtles. Wake up time for everyone else, and then guess what? When I go to bed, it's clock out. I don't know. It's that relationship aspect, and everyone's cup of tea. I mean, once you get to an establishment to where it's it's a lot, then don't get me wrong, but when it's sustainable, then just
yeah. And I actually thought about just setting up. I mean, I have a perfect spot right here. I thought about getting a nice little 20-gallon tank, and just the relationship of giving them light, providing for them. Sometimes, I don't know, it makes it a little more personal. It's a little
did you notice how you're talking about, because I know I have my procedure when I'm doing hatchlings, juveniles, adults.
Yeah.
Do you do the same kind of thing as far as, with the relationship thing where you may start out with glass, kind of get the relationship building, this and that, and
Hmm.
then, move them. Yeah, I know once they get to sub, if not a little bit, just probably about sub. I mean, I usually
Hmm.
always transition to a little bit of a bigger stock tank,
Hmm.
and then the optimal afterwards once they get a little bit older. You kind of
Sure.
do that same process after you built that relationship, and that feeding response, or
Sure. So, if we're going off of, I've had a very interesting time because I like to base things off of years, but I do it by school because that's it's nice and regimented for me. So I get to freshman year 3 years ago. I had bean and pancake. I put them in a Walmart plastic clear tub. They did beautifully. They were in my dorm. And it was interesting because it would be 1 a.m. and I still have the lights on, but their basking lights are turned off. I didn't upgrade them to. I went from that small tub that was clear, see through, which I didn't like actually, and a little bit of fake plants to a 75-gallon tub.
I remember that video.
Yeah, yeah, and they loved me actually. The two of them, I had a third at the time, and then Pet Life, whatever. The two of them were very close with me, and I would feed them every day, and they were super friendly, super good to me. Um, and that year after, I went straight to a 75-gallon tub. And the way that I say it is, once they're big enough to be able to handle that depth, once they're 3 inches or so, about yay big, go as big as possible. I'm now learning that that might not be the case, and it might depend on the individual because Crush, my most recent acquisition, she's of that gorgeous flowerback golden, like amazing ornate. She's this big. She's like sub-adult. She's pretty freaking large. She's like a year old and she's that big. I put her in my pond. She's got 4,000 gallons and she hated it. She hated that. She kept going in the little mini pond, the little stock tank that I have, and she's still there. She would go back and forth, and now she's deciding to stay in that little stock tank. So I think it depends on the personality of the turtle. Some of them like it. Um, some of them prefer a little more open water. Sliders like more open water. Almost all other turtles, they like more water, more swimming space, and that's what I was doing. But we now found out that subadults and juvenile terrapins, they stay in that salt grass until they pop out. You know, females like that big, males that big. Otherwise, they hunker away and they hide.
yeah, because
Um,
they're, I mean, yeah, natural. They're used to hiding,
for
and
sure,
they're the prey. And
for
until they
sure.
get to the point to where, like you said. So I mean, I think, I wish a lot of, most people, they don't put into perspective, how they act in the wild to,
Mhm.
just because it's a captive bred or whatever. It's like,
For sure.
I mean, it's an internal instinct. You can have any
Exactly.
other animal, and it's an internal, clock instinct that if you know, if you're inclined to observe and, watch, I mean, we would learn a lot more from each individual animal. I feel like if we could sit there for 24/7 and just really analyze, I promise you, we would learn so much more about animals than we did rather than on, off, feed, walk away. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. I'm discovering some very interesting stuff with my pond, and even these hatchlings are teaching me a lot. I'm thinking about giving them half land, to be honest, and getting grasses and
So what do
putting
you
them
have
in.
them in now?
So right now I got them in a concrete mixing tub. That's not that deep. Some people have like entered my little giveaway thing. They're showing me I have a 55-gallon tank for a hatchling. I'm like, they'll hate that. They'll hate that. That'll stress them out. They like to be away from everyone, away from everything. Like I tell my parents, they're like, why aren't they friendly? Why aren't they? I say they want to say, I'm not here. Don't look at me. Let me just eat until I exist.
Yeah.
Because until then, they are on the menu. So I have them in a little, you know, 6 inches deep, filled it up with like 4 inches of water, little internal filter, as much plastic plants as I could fit in there, a little basking spot and a little cave that's also like a ramp that allows them to climb up. And some of them have climbed all the way up to the top. Um, but
Hmm,
no heat lamp, just screened in porch.
hmm,
Because that should give them all the UVB that they need
yeah.
and whatnot. And especially with what Mike Roth has been doing, he says, no heat lamps at all. He just gives them UVB. And like, I think that's a very interesting concept. So I'm sort of doing something similar with them with that.
Now,
They get,
now have you analyzed as far as the characteristics of each one of them? Like
oh
going
yeah,
if you're if yeah, because I know you. I mean, dude, I can imagine you going from both analyzing both parents to seeing okay. And I think we touched on it last week. About the characteristics and passing it down to the
hmm
parents and generation key elements in the offspring and how patterns, what color. I mean, what
sure.
have you observed and seen that you've learned based upon your own experience now?
Sure. So I remember being, 14 and looking at who's now like one of our buddies, Keith Boissonneau, I think is his last name. He produced those map Terrapin hybrids. And I remember being like 14 and looking through them and saying, this is the aspect of a terrapin it has. This is the aspect of a map turtle it has. Like you could just tell. I could like see it. It was so weird. This one has map turtle eyes. This one has terrapin eyes. It's very interesting to see. These guys are 3/4 northern and 1/4 ornate because Pancake's half ornate. And I mean, it's so weird for being 3/4, predominantly one subspecies. They are all messy. They are so strange looking, some of them. Um, so looking at their characteristics, the nicest looking one actually is the friendliest. And he always has been since day one. He's more curious. He'll come over a little bit. He's more responsive to food. He was the first one eating. There's another one that I have, hates me, hates everything, always in the corner, always trying to get out, and the rest hide, is sort of the way that it is. But it's hard to tell personality because I'm now trying to switch them over to pellets. I got them eating bloodworms, and now I'm comfortable trying to, yeah. Cody told me, he's like, warm water and bloodworms, for sure. That's doing it. I mean, it's perfect. But as far as seeing their personalities come through, that's where I'm at. But both the parents are very friendly, so it'll be interesting. I've talked with Cody about this, breeding the friendliest terrapins that there are, breeding like the nicest ones. If you can breed for patterns and colors, you can breed for personality, is my sort of opinion. And so it's just interesting to see the aspects from both parents. Pancake has a spotted plastron, Bean has those lines. One of them has total spots, the other has only lines, and then some of them have dots in the shape of the lines, and some of them have lines fading in and then dots as well. It's just, and I think all of them have those jet black eyes that their father had. It's just so strange seeing like the combination of the two and like seeing what they made. I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of like, you got me thinking about personality. It's like we all have that one turtle. Just like,
the
my big
angel,
mama. Yeah, like my big mama, if you
angel.
look at her, man, dude, she's the biggest puppy dog you have. She's
Mhm.
she's 8 inches of solid just puppy.
Yep.
I mean,
And
she
for sure. And I have that one. That's for me. It's Flipper. That's that Centrata I'm talking about. I did that video where I let them all bite me. Her bite, the best bite she can give me. She's like, it was like the cutest, most sweet. I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to let you like go crazy. I put in fiddler crabs, and she's like so nice to them until she, breaks their exoskeleton. But it's just so
I'm
fun.
surprised you even got a bite out of it. I don't think I can ever get. Golly, she won't even open her mouth just for
Oh
food.
yeah.
That's about it. Like, but I've never really actually fed her anything else other than pellets. She was born and raised on that, so like she's never had like a diet of any kind of shrimp or any kind of crustacean or anything. So she's never had that voracious kind of. Other than she'll eat a ton. She'll eat it till the sun goes down. But
Yeah, sure.
not you. You
Not
notice
like
that ferocious kind of thing that you can get.
exactly. That's a very interesting point because that's another thing.
Ferocious.
Mhm.
Huh?
I said my mangrove. She's pretty ferocious.
Yeah, for sure. Some of them,
She
you
tried
know
to
what it is.
bite
Yeah.
my tail ornate's head off one day.
Oh
Yeah,
boy. Yeah.
I'm saying his head off, but like he was swimming next to her, and she was just like,
Yeah, went for it. So it's interesting that personality definitely goes in hand, like how sweet they are definitely goes hand with goes along with their food items because I mean I had one who was raised on nothing but pellets and I put him in with a live shrimp and he was scared to death. He had no idea what to do. I mean, it took 2 other feedings to get him to learn chase, eat, like hunt, like go for it. Bean, I remember the day that I first put feeder guppies in there and she caught one. And I was like, oh my, I didn't expect her to be able to do it. She caught it and she shredded that thing in half. And to this day, she's the same. You know, I put in any type of food and she goes for it. I put in new fish. She goes for them until she gives up because she's lazy.
You kick that instinct, man. You
for
kick that in
sure.
because I've still yet to ever.
If you want to keep her friendly,
you got to.
If you want to keep her friendly, don't bother. But if you put in like live shrimp or something, some live fish, and you want to start getting her a little aggressive, Crush, like I told you, that one female, she was such a learning experience. She was a classic only child. She was picky, a picky terrapin. She was picky. She was like only eating shrimp. She only liked her freeze-dried mealworms and her krill treats. Well, guess what? That did not. I put her in a 75-gallon tub with 4 piranhas, those 4 juvenile terrapins I have. And I'm like, she needs to learn or she's not eating. Took 3 weeks of scraps from the bottom before she's now at the top, shoving the others out of the way, taking down anything that she can find. You know, I had to kick that into her a little bit because I'm like, if you want to survive out here with others, you got to kick it.
And I don't think we've ever touched upon, that aspect of conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Which
for sure.
People think that, just they don't like it. Well, then they're never going to eat it. Well, I mean, it's just like a lot of animals. I mean, you deal with. I mean, it's all about conditioning, man.
For sure.
If you can condition the animal, dog, I mean, whatever you might have it, and it just takes the repetition, just like a child. And I don't want to dictate, animal to a child, but like it's really the same thing. Like if you don't give them anything or continue to be consistent and offer them veggies or whatever, and not say you offer veggie to a terrapin, but same concept, then they're never going to want it. They're going to stick to their own stingy ways. So
I'm going to tell you 2 foods that I figured out very quickly that none of my terrapins like. Mealworms, and none of mine. And I feed a pretty interesting variety. I fed them smelt. I fed them shrimp. I fed them krill. Dude,
Live?
What, the mealworms? Yeah, the same mealworms I'm feeding my box turtle. Second thing, worms, bro. My terrapins will not touch night crawlers, red wigglers, none of those things. Like the worms literally die in the tanks, and I have to scoop them out.
Interesting. Isn't that one thing Jordan said was a really good thing to get
night crawlers,
hatchets on or something?
He cut them into pieces. Yeah,
I'm talking about like full on, just drop the worm, because in my mind I'm like, my terrapins are like very keen on like motion and movement in the water. So in my big pond, like I just put my hand and splash around in the water, and they come from the depths, and they know it's time to eat. So they did not touch the worms. They were not having it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I just finished mixing my food. I dropped like $100 on eBay, and all my food came, and I just bought a 5-gallon bucket today to mix it all together. I got Aquamax, I got my Reptomin that I've had, some extra Missouri, like Hikari, freeze-dried mealworms. I found Crush loves them. I mean, she still loves her shrimp. She'll pick through them before she starts eating pellets. But freeze-dried mealworms, they love. Oh man, what else did I get? I got all those river shrimp, and these river shrimp, they farm them in ponds, so there's still like dried snails and like little fish and tadpoles in there too. Like that's perfect. I mixed it all together, and that's like the food. It's just you get pellets and you get whatever's mixed in, all that freeze-dried goodness.
Handful, eat.
Dude, let me tell you, feeding that pond is the greatest part of my day every day. Feeding them and feeding the juveniles.
And you have a pretty good filtration system?
Yeah, I got the wetland filtration, so it's doing pretty good. The only issue is my lily pads won't grow. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong, but it's a little too much heat right now, so it's causing a lot of algae, clogging the pumps every 2 days. I got to clean it. But
how big is that surface area? Like water and land and everything total?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. So the pond is like 12 by 15. It's got to be at least another 12 by 15. So that's 30 by 30-ish.
Wow.
Maybe less.
So you went big or go home. Like, what made you decide like all that, man? Like when you came up with the concept.
That's interesting.
Because you have a video and everything on YouTube, everyone can watch
Sure.
it, correct? Yeah. So
Yeah. It's like the
so everyone can
DIY
go back to
turtle.
what we're talking about.
Sure, it's a 2-part pond. It's got the main pond, 4,000 gallons, which is just other people estimate, but to me it seems smaller. And then an upper pond, which is 7 feet by 6 feet. The main pond's 12 by 15, that I fill with pea gravel, and that's my filtration unit that I put plants in. I had always been wanting to do that, and I built the pond at my other house, and then my parents said, we're moving. I'm like, great. I had to fill in that old pond. We came here, and I'm like, I'm doing it here. The bog will mean that you guys don't have to do any maintenance. I'm going to do this right. And I started looking at costs and started to source my materials and whatnot. And I just always knew I wanted to do it. Every pond I want to do, I want to go bigger. My parents promised me, actually, from when we moved from Pennsylvania, they said the next house, do a pond. Like, you can do another pond. You can do something big. So I said, I'm going off on this one. I'm going hard at it.
So was time, resources. I mean, give an estimate to people if they want to. Just if you go top notch, say you got the top notch,
Best of the best.
so to where they can kind of dictate down from there also. So based upon time, effort, investment,
Sure.
material, where you even got a lot of your material at, and
Top of the line be like Greg Whitstock. Is that what?
I'm talking about Dan's pond right now.
Okay, Dan is top of the line.
Using him as the top notch, that way someone can dictate tiers underneath that.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, I scrapped that thing together. That thing it looks great. It works great. It is scrapped together. It's under $2,000. And a professional landscaper, I mean, if Aquascape came and built that, a certified Aquascape contractor, which I know the one in South Carolina, he's so nice. It would be, $15,000 maybe. Anywhere from 10 to 20, I would say easily. It's just, how do I put it? That pump is like a $200 pump. I got it for $40. My mom found it at a thrift store in Florida. It happened to be brand new. My liner should be $700-800. I found it for $300 on Craigslist. It's 60 mil. Like, most pine liners are only 45. That thing is thick. I mean, it's beautiful. My old pond liner that I then used to act as the bog, I got that also off Craigslist. You sort of save where you can, be it in labor, time, money. You save where you can. So I could save money by digging it myself. So I did. I could save money building the whole thing myself. So I did. I could easily, get a group of guys to come in and dig it for me and then save a little bit there. I got my fencing for free by, again, God's grace. Oh my God. I've happened to find a landscaper who hooked me up, but I think I spent $150 for the whole thing. You sort of save where you can. Take your time, try to find resources, check that Craigslist, check that eBay, and sort of save where you can. Take your time with it, plan things out, and do everything right. Invest and do things right. Because I probably should have gotten a bigger skimmer, and I sort of skimped out on it. And now it's getting clogged with algae every 3 days. So I'm sort of paying the price for that now. You can do it for a very, very, very cost-effective amount. But it just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of luck and a little bit of knowledge, and you can still put together something amazing.
Now, say if you have an aquascape contractor come in and do that, is it more for them to do it because of the material and what they're recommended, what they have to use, as compared to what you can use kind of on your own? I mean, obviously, there should be a bare minimum what you need and what you should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
rocks alone that they put in those things are insane, bro. Like they're literally like going in the mountains of Tennessee to get some of those rocks. Like,
you pay for rocks. Literally, I didn't do rocks, and that's why. It's because I'm on the coast. I've been searching for 2 months for rocks. Nothing. They're so expensive. The rocks would have cost more than the cost of that entire thing right now, just alone. I mean, probably roughly the same, maybe a little less, but like over probably at least $1,000, at least. That's where a lot of the cost comes in. The
weight.
money, the money that comes in is from labor. So if you go on eBay, they have plenty of kits, halfoffponds.com. They have plenty of kits. You buy that kit and you can put together a really nice pond. And then the only thing that you need after that is
beer,
rocks.
manpower.
Beer and manpower and some fat koi, which it's you can get those kits pretty much anywhere, or you can get source the parts out individually, but they're pretty cheap. I mean, they're not terrible.
Yeah.
The most expensive things are the necessities. So your liner, your skimmer, your waterfall box, like filter box, and the pump.
Hey,
That's
Dan,
where your cost is.
would you also say like the quality of the products those guys sell is also, a little bit more expensive because it's better quality?
I can't say anything about the quality. I actually, I don't really know because I haven't physically gotten with any of them.
Right.
But what I do know is that some people say that all those rocks and stuff. I mean, I've talked to people who say those are cesspools. Every aquascape pond is a sludge tank. The man himself, Greg Woodstock. I posted my finished pond, and he's like, "You forgot the rocks." I'm like, "Not in my budget. I'm not forgetting the rocks." Like, I went to Home Depot. I got pavers for $1 each. Like that. Those are my rocks. So I've talked to people who say that. But what I do know is that those guys have to be doing something right because those ponds look pretty damn good. Almost every single one that I've seen.
Yeah, like at Ty Parks. I mean, everything.
Ty Park. Yeah. Well, poor guy. One of the pipes just burst yesterday, so he's got that as a whole issue. But yeah. So anyway, but as far as like Kennan's pond, look at the size of that thing, and it's totally clear. He's had like no issues. The bigger it is, the easier it is to maintain. So I did an off-brand aquascape pond, I would say. I used zero aquascape products, but I did it in the fashion that they would have done, minus probably 90% of the rocks that they would have used. But it's built the same-ish way, the same sort of wetland filtration system, very similar style. So they were a big inspiration, to be honest. And so,
yeah, dude.
If you want something done, like, they say ponds done right, it works. I mean, their system, their method, it works. I know that Ken uses they have like a dosing system or something with nutrients. I mean, I don't know that sort of stuff, but I mean, you use their products, and of course they're a business, but from what I've seen, yeah, I think that works. But it depends on the individual. If you don't want to spend $15,000 on a pond, do like I did.
Hey, what substrate did you use? Do you have any substrate in the bottom of the pond?
I had a lot of leftover pea gravel because I used the pea gravel in the bog. I put it along the shelf, and I thought, eventually it'll probably fall to the bottom. Well, that eventually was the day after I got koi, and they all started spawning, and they washed all of the rocks from the shelf down to the bottom. So that's like a very thin layer of gravel, but that's it. I mean, of course, I would like to line it with rocks, but once you get that algae and that like biofilm and whatnot growing on the walls, you look right past it. You don't really see it.
Have you thought about like sand or anything in that nature?
Thought about sand. I like the look of sand. I think that it might just attract sunlight and grow algae, and I don't know. I've thought about it though. It's just an extra cost for. I mean, I just think that. Don't get me thinking. Don't get me thinking.
I gotta tell you, Garden State Tortoise's ponds have kind of inspired my thinking. How they put the dirt back into the pond. How Chris does that, like the dirt he dug out, he lines the bottom of the pond so plants can grow. And I'm like, you know what? It's gonna look crappy a couple of days, maybe even a couple of weeks for the water to clear, but like
maybe a year even. Yeah.
But if you go to a lake or you go to a river, like it's the same dirt in the bottom. Like
if I can speak on Chris's ponds, if you want to talk about antithesis, the complete opposite, you've got Aquascape and you've got Chris Leon. Those, I mean, one is completely, I mean, both are utilizing nature to make something beautiful.
Yeah.
One is using products, electricity, and I know Chris uses some pumps as well, but One is like more synthetic, using like more filtration and manpower in order to get it clean and get everything working. And Chris's is more, keep everything totally natural, like barely doing any work. The fish keep the mosquitoes away. It's made for the turtles, and they did it. I think you also need more space for that as well, because the way that they have it, from what I understand, and I still don't get it entirely, I think that they have very gradual. So it goes like this, and then it goes very gradually out to allow for a whole bunch of dirt and allow for like a, because otherwise all your dirt will just fall into the bottom.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to figure out how exactly they do that. But I mean, I want something like that, but I also want an ecosystem pond.
Did you watch the spotted turtle pond that Chris had?
It's
now that you say that, and I'm watching, like I watched him scoop the dirt back in before he filled it. That makes a lot of sense. Like how do you get it to stay? Yeah, I'll have to ask him. He's going to be on September 8th.
So from what I understand, from what I think that they do it, I think that it's gradually sloping. And then I think what they do is, because I sort of did a mini version of that in my like little box turtle setup. It looks like, I mean, it's a whole like 3 gallons, but I think what they do is, I think what he did was he probably dug out around the edge, put the liner down so it's flat for a good little bit before it then starts gradually going down and getting deeper. And they put the dirt right back on top. So that way the plants can go right into the water, and you'll have like that sort of marsh where it's sort of wet until it reaches the edge. I think. I don't know. It still escapes me because I want to do something like that, whenever I can, whenever I get a freaking house. But
yeah, I got goals for doing a pond ecosystem where I can keep my box turtles and my spotted turtles when they're adults, like in the same enclosure.
Oh, you could do that. Yeah. So, you got backyard, and I got unions. I still want to make that happen because I love doing ponds.
You got to come back to Florida, man.
I know.
Also the thing that my wife and I are we've finally agreed that we are going to pay off some of our debt, and then our goal is to buy a larger piece of property and then build a house on that property. So she's agreed to around 5 acres, and I can make 5 acres work. Like I'm on like a 1/4 acre right now. So
dude, yeah, you can make a lot happen with 5 acres. Hell, that's great. That's fantastic. Oh man, that's my dream.
Might be 5 to 10 years away, but I mean, I'm only 27, so
yeah, man, that's not far. Are you kidding me? Oh, that's great. I love
because you're gonna need a lot of planning and orchestration, just like you said, like Dan said. It takes a lot of time. Even though you look at right here, the end goal. I mean, it takes time to implement to where you can get it to where utilization. Because once it comes time that you'll actually be ready to actually know what you're using, utilizing, time, investment, all that good stuff. I mean, so
for sure.
Yeah, man. So that's good stuff. Because honestly, I mean, I was looking back at some of your other videos and stuff like that, and I was like, and I was like, especially with Ty Park and yours, and I was like, man, dude, like that's, and going from Greg and going from like all these people that I'm like, dude, you almost, man, you can't beat it. Like,
for sure,
if you have the resources and you have the ability, a lot of people don't, but I mean, you almost can't go wrong either way. It's just as long as you have the right amount of space and depth and just something to give the animals what they need, man. Like,
it's not hard.
If you can't, man, don't think about it, because it's just not right. And that's only because it's probably not the right time for you.
Exactly.
And we all had to graduate and move up, and this and that. I mean, it took me a while to even get to where I'm at now. Like you guys. I mean, I started out the bare minimum. I was a little kid. I didn't really get serious until I was like, I don't even know, high school. Like really serious, because when I go, the problem about most of us guys is when we go all in, we go all in. So it's kind of a dangerous scenario for a lot of other people. So like you said with the pond, it's time to go all in. Okay, it's time.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at it now, and there's 100 things that I would do differently. So, and I'm thinking of the next one. I mean, I just finished, and I'm already thinking to the next
But I
one.
mean, you think about like Oxscape and all those other people. I mean, they didn't just build the perfect scenario or platform or whatever. I mean, wait, Greg's been doing it for 30, however many years to get to that fine tune.
Yep.
You
I
know,
mean,
and it's only going to grow and different from that. Even also, that's not even like the premiere. But it takes time, man. Like you almost.
exactly.
That's why you got to almost just enjoy the process, just like you enjoy the animal week by
Hmm.
week, year by year. Enjoy the process of give them something different to work with. You know, don't
Yeah.
just keep them in the same thing, even if they can be that for an adult. Give them something different. Give them more space. Give them more this. Just interact with them a little bit. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, and I like that a lot because I don't know. There's one enclosure, and Ty has to do things differently because he's part like zoo. So for the public, you need to have your animals visible, but turtles hate being seen. So I mean, he has a wood turtle enclosure I know that has like a nice little stream going through it, and it's like crystal clear and it looks nice and everything. Um, and they're doing great in it. But then you look at Chris Leone's wood turtle setup. It's that big pond, and they have like a nice, beautiful like stream filled and overgrown with plants and everything. And like I said, I don't know, some things you can feel when it's a little like synthetic, and you can just sort of like I don't know. I'm at the point where I could sort of like feel it. Um, I don't even know how to describe it. It's so strange. It's like um, not enough I don't know, not enough plants or like just trying to make it as natural as you possibly can. um it's sort of like, how should I put this, putting terrapins in a pond. Like, I'm not saying that I have the perfect setup, but like for argument's sake, a natural esque pond like I have, plants growing into it, like sort of marshy kind of, naturalistic, and then keeping a terrapin in, a 300-gallon aquarium with like plastic plants and everything. One might not be right and one might not be wrong, but one is definitely more synthetic and like man-made, and then like the other one is sort of more naturalistic. And
So that's kind of how I felt about doing nesting boxes. Like some of my terrapins are really approaching that age where nesting is essential. But like, and I've talked to you in depth about it. Like, I really want them to be able to dig into the earth to lay their eggs. And so like my stock pond is about halfway out of the ground. And so to me, it doesn't really make sense to have them climb up even higher into a box with sand when it kind of wouldn't happen like that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure. And that's why I think it's really interesting too that like I made that beach area, right? It's like beautiful, nice little sandy spot. And Bean just went. And she went straight up the middle path that I have. I have two waterfalls. She went straight up the middle. She climbed, she scaled that wall, went straight up the middle. And she just doesn't use that at all, and went and did her own thing in the dirt. And I know I was talking to Jeff Melland, and he said, it'll be interesting to see, do they like the dirt or do they like the sand? And it's just so cool that she went up to the highest point, as high up as she could. She chose a spot that she could actually dig down in, because I have some landscaping fabric up there too that I was worried that she would get stuck on. It's just trying to provide something that you think that they'll like, that they'll use, and not basically not forcing them to settle. Because I feel like nesting boxes are they're great and they work, but when you see a time lapse and they're going back and forth, pacing the back of the wall, and then just saying screw it and nesting, it's like, yeah, they're giving you eggs. Yeah, they're doing it, and yeah, they're using it as they should, and it's better than popping them in the water. But I think that's partially the reason that sometimes you get them in the water, is because you're giving them a little box. I mean, you're giving them this, and in the wild they have,
Well, that's just like I know some people have their their greatest success, and they've been very successful. Their greatest success asking them has actually been no nest box, but taking them out and put them in a sand
I
pit or
love
take them
that.
to a volleyball, and it's like, I'm like,
I
really?
love that. I love that.
And then watch them, let them do their thing, and boom, bada bing, bada boom. They got plenty of space. They got. It's almost like, dude, if you walk into a room and you're confined to your abilities to do whatever it is that you need to do, like, okay, say this room, I got a big workout room here. I have a lot of utilization, but say when I first started, I had enough room to do a push up, which I did, and I still made it successful. I made it work. Wasn't prime, wasn't perfect. I made it work, but there's just something about being able to be, dude. It almost like you can't tell me that an animal doesn't know that it opens up their mind of
For sure.
just being able to. It's a freeing aspect. It's not a
Yeah.
confining aspect. So that has to play such a vital role. And don't get me wrong, you can get that of, like you said, that process of almost like a machine work kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no knocking because you got to do what you got to do with what you have wherever you're located.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a cool aspect to be able to actually be able to experience also.
Hey, would you guys believe me if I told you? Both of you guys know I have a mangrove terrapin. What size setup do you think she's in? If you had to guess,
She's in your 300, no?
bro, she's in a 40-gallon tub.
Oh, I forgot.
So she is 100% solo in a 40-gallon tub. She had my 300-gallon tub. Pretty much, she was the head honcho.
Hated it, yeah.
She got sick. I mean, she'd still bask, but she had the stuff coming out of her. I then moved her to a 65 or 60-gallon waterland tub. She did better. Wouldn't really eat. She was in there by herself. And I mean, there could be some other things that, helped out as well. But she is literally thriving in a 40-gallon tub. And I think it's two-part. I think it's one, the environment is more controlled in my garage. And so the temperature is warmer majority of the day. I think two, the water, like the rain that was outside, took down the salinity levels in the different tanks she was in. Whereas in the garage, the only thing she has to worry about is evaporation, which is only making the salinity level higher. And then three, I think it's the depth of the water. I think she is happier in that depth. And I mean, she's 4 or 5 years old. Like
that's definitely it. It's definitely depth because I've heard horror stories about mangroves in, like 100-gallon stock tank should be happy as can be, and some people were telling me that just not happy, always aggravated, like always upset, stressed out.
She was in a 300 tank when she tried to bite the male ornate.
Exactly, and the same thing. The best I can relate to that is with Crush, that ornate. 4,000 gallons of space. Hated it because they live in similar territory, similar habitat. Sometimes too much is no good. It's like putting a hatchling in the ocean. Like they don't want it. They want something small, secure, shallow as well. That'll stress them out if there's too much space at the bottom. Think about where they spend their lives. They're in the mud. Females almost always are in the mud. They're rarely going out, and if they do, it's just to go eat and hunt, and then they go back into the mud. If anything, they're more terrestrial, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and if anything, the males probably more thrive, in open water, which that's why you talked about last week, dude. I mean, she marks thousands of them, with the terrapin, but yet she's only seen or experienced and had an experience with 2 males. I mean, and the population's there, and that's that tells you right then and there something, that
for sure. And I've done
even setup wise.
Yeah, I've done my research, all my essays. Every essay I can do in college, if I can do it on terrapins, it's on terrapins. I have about 6 of them now.
Now, have you noticed any your male specifically more keen to just hang out more in the water deep end? Yeah.
Yeah, so not actually.
You're a prime example.
Yeah. So first I want to comment on something you were saying, Ed, before about I love the analogy to the workout space because on my last video someone pointed out, they're like, were those 2 cinder blocks in a PVC pipe? Were you using that as weights? Like, the gyms are all closed by me, so you got to use like what you have. And I just think that's a great analogy because you can still get what you're trying to get done, but not as happily. I love that analogy. Just wanted to bring that up. Yeah. And then my males, because I got my camera up, my males, I have weeds and grasses that have grown into the water. They take up like a nice little area of the shelves. My males like to hide in the caves, and they like to hide under the wood, and they like to hide in the grasses. The females, a couple times a day, will go out and start hunting on the bottom and venturing and looking for food, and start eating. And my males almost never do. They never go out, and they try to stay in the shallows and stay to what they're used to and more comfortable with. Not to say that they won't swim out
Yeah.
into the open water, but just during the day, it might just be because they're darker and I don't see them as well. But the girls are the ones who go out into the open water and go looking. The boys sort of stick to their shallows.
Yeah.
And if I
That's
could bring up
interesting.
one really interesting thing that I was waiting to happen and it finally did, up in my bog area, I have hundreds of snails. Hundreds, just eating algae, decaying plant material, all that fun stuff. And I've noticed the terrapins grazing on the algae in the pond because there's little bloodworms and larvae and crustaceans and things that live in there. Well, my centrata has figured out that there are snails in the bog. Nearly every day at anywhere from 6 to 8 p.m. in the afternoon when it's cool, she walks her little butt onto that beach, goes around, and goes into that bog and just chows down. And then when she's done, she follows the waterfall back into the main pond. And I think it's just so cool that she
You gotta run
figured
a routine
out.
down, man.
She figured out that there's food up there, and she goes up there to eat every day like clockwork. I just think that's so cool that
Have
she.
any of the other ones ventured up there to eat?
So not to eat, but Crush got uncomfortably warm one day, so she popped up out of that little tub, and I found her next to my beautiful umbrella palm plant, and there was a whole bunch of algae there, and she's completely covered except for her head underneath the shade with her head sticking out of the algae. I was like, when you build it and you set it up and you hope that they'll use it the way that they should, it's always rewarding to see them actually do it, especially with the size that she is and knowing that she would be buried in the mud. Seeing the woman that I got her from sent me a video of her like shaking on the bottom and trying to dig at the bottom, clearly wanting some mud, some type of substrate, and then her being able to do that. There's nothing better.
Yeah, that's some research, like you said, that dude. That's you have your own research facility
Yeah.
in and of itself right then and there, and that dude, that's I think we've learned a lot, and I wasn't even anticipating on getting on this kind of big huge topic with you, but honestly, as many people as we've talked to, just by being able to put it in perspective from as natural of a setting that you have them in, and you're able to actually um, observe them and analyze, their more natural behavior. I mean, I think I've learned because, and I'm talking from my hobby kind of perspective right now, because we can all switch gears because I have conservation, but I think hobby wise, I've learned a ton, even if not more critical aspects from what you've said, and just from perspective on this podcast and majority of the other ones, because you learn, knowledge and upkeep, all that stuff, but to get your kind of perspective on no one else has had the more natural setting to be able to observe like you have, and I think every aspect of detail that you can write down and jot and create your own kind of like
Yeah, like
hypothesis and just
like the fine-tuned stuff. Like sure people know that turtles need to bask, turtles need to up their body temperature.
gotta go deeper, man. Like if we want this hobby, and
For
just to do it
sure.
right, and biggest thing,
Get them to thrive.
do these animals right, we gotta open up people's minds, man.
For sure.
Open them up to the possibility and the perspective of there's way more than just keeping an animal in some thing,
In some aquarium, yeah, some little
And
whatever.
I'm not going back to the whole knocking thing, but because there's a time and place to utilize, like we've said, from beginning and grow in steps. But I think, and because I was in that, the realm of also with the ball pythons, but it's the same thing with the ball pythons, to where there's a difference between putting them in a rack system and having them in a more naturalistic kind of, because they're not,
Yeah.
they don't need some big overhang thing, because they're more, arboreal, but like, you know, and not to say you can't do either one, but there's just that thing, man. Like you can have machine or you can have real life flesh, natural being of just everything that it's supposed to and how it's supposed to function, rather than kind of and I'm not knocking all of us from the hobby aspect, but a more manipulative aspect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
like, if I can, if I'm losing, if my setup makes me lose 2 hatchlings, that I never knew existed, but if the female's happier and she's going to be, producing more because she feels better, she's more comfortable, she doesn't double clutch, she triple clutches, something like that. If the animal's happier, it's worth it all. I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even care about finding those eggs until I gave up after 3 days. I said, whatever happens, happens. If it's natural, she'll do it. But it's understanding that, when that water temperature gets hot, which it's been, they don't bask. They don't bask a single day. After a rainstorm, did you know that terrapins start losing their shit after a rainstorm? Oh my God, they go up. They open their mouths. They're in fresh water and they're going up like they saw the light. It's absolutely insane. And I think that that's the key to, we know that mangroves, especially, finicky, so finicky. And I think that part of the key, I mean, I've tried to talk to some of the breeders in China who get them regular breeding. I say, what do you do different? They're like, nothing. You know what? I think that they get lucky or something's different, because I think that if you make things as natural as possible, you will be rewarded. And like, I mean, I tried to keep things as natural as I could. And I have a 3-year-old first-time mother, and she gave me 100% success rate, all perfect scoots, all perfect little hatchlings. It's just,
I think cool thing that you should do, and I'm just thinking just from your end, like if I could have some kind of setup to be able to almost capture them in the moment of whatever it is, like whether you said the male hanging over the umbrella thing, or the females kind of going underneath and grazing, just different aspects that you would see in a natural setting, like just almost try to capture that moment, not even just research wise, but like,
sure,
I don't know, like it would just be something cool to be able to almost get that natural aspect of each thing that you read about, that you only read about. Because I know I went to school, man, for wildlife, and there's a reason why I chose more of a tech school, because I was out in the field from day one, out in the field research, rather than book work for however many years before I even got the opportunity to go out. Is because I wanted to see the real raw stuff going out in the pond, collecting data. You can't. That's why I do my educational programs, and I will not do an educational program without an animal. I just won't do it. I won't do it.
I love
welcome me in or not. But if I'm going to bring my book and have a tool, I'm going to show you what it might not be that specific animal, but it's going to be a replica of that animal. And what, and sorry to get off tangent, but when the difference between when I did my first presentation with my book, and they seen container, I should have, if I'm doing more along the line, I'm not going to even show them that I have containers in there, because all they want to know what was in the containers, and they saw small, big, large, and they were like, all they wanted was a large one. They didn't care about my book anymore. They didn't care about the reading anymore. It was like all animal, all animal, all animal. What's the next one? What's the next one? It's like,
at least they care, though. The point is they care. Start getting excited. You can show them a book all day. You could read pages and show pictures. But when you bring out just a little dinosaur, I mean, I remember being a little kid and having those presentations. I mean, I lose my mind. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. You can spit off facts all day. And I'm like, cool. But show me what you're talking about.
And almost, dude, like it was cool that I seen that a lot of kids, almost like they had some kind of stored up basic knowledge of a turtle, that they almost didn't know they had, that it just kind of surfaced up. Oh, that's what's it when I say what's the difference between a tortoise and a turtle? The aquatics, and just differences in comparison. They knew a lot more than they think they even did, which was cool to realize that they were having aha moments without them even realizing.
Oh yeah,
So yeah.
for
Sorry to
sure.
go off on that tangent, but I mean it's critical for like going off of data and research and
Education, yeah.
and education, man, because I feel like it's such a great tool that you have the biggest outlet of YouTube, that you're doing this and have that ability, dude. I'm looking forward to everything that's to come with you and what you're putting out and the content.
Hmm.
And I have a feeling that a lot more of the content. Not to say we don't learn a lot and all that stuff and what you do, but I think what's to come is going to be you know groundbreaking for what you're going to be able to give out
Hmm.
education wise and knowledge and insight. And dude, I'm excited for everything to come, man. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're all friends and that we're a little bit more of a connection, relationship established, and
Hmm.
just a guest. So yeah, man, keep doing what you're doing, and I'm excited.
Yeah. Thank you. I know. I'm
Keep
pumped. Like I'm
consistent.
ready. Oh, we are. Yeah, I just made an announcement yesterday. The video dropped. Two
Good.
uploads a week. Um,
On it, man.
yeah,
Show
the
them love,
name
man.
change, all the merch stuff that's going to be coming out. This shirt, I'm going to finally start producing because I've gotten people losing their minds over it. It's so funny. Yeah, I want to educate, get
Do it,
people
man.
excited, get people out there, take care of your turtles, and you can do it at a low price. You can do it. You don't have to have all the money in the world to take care of an animal.
And the
Um,
beauty of it is that you're at a platform now. You've established a platform now to
mhm,
where you're at, and with everything that you've done now, you've already. It's crazy that you pour 3 years, 4 years, and all, and even beforehand with the knowledge. People don't realize that you just don't become some overnight thing. You took
mhm,
the background before people even knew who you were, what you were doing, to
mhm,
taking the investment time to even build something up to where you have a platform now. It just worked perfectly in
for sure.
harmony to where you're at now, what you have to use to be able to incorporate into what you've already established. To dude, it's a perfect marriage, man.
Yeah,
It really is. So it couldn't
yeah,
have
I know.
happened more organically, because you're a stronger, more confident, more knowledgeable, more resourceful, more everything now than where you were, to 3 years ago.
Oh,
So
two weeks ago. I mean,
so
it's insane. I mean, exactly, and that's why I want to share with people, and that's why I want to show them, where you're at right now. It's going to be so different from where
no,
you're at in 2 weeks. You don't know, six babies could pop out the ground and your whole world changes. Like it's just,
yeah,
yeah, it's great.
good stuff,
Thank you.
man.
Yeah, thank you,
So
thank you.
Dan, as we get ready to wrap up, I'm curious, what projects or passions or interests in terms of turtle keeping
Hmm.
um, are you most interested in working towards? Like, what direction is Dan the Guppy Man, future Turtle Man, really focused on?
It's hard because I'm still griping with that, trying to figure out where I fit. Am I zoo aquarium? Am I full time YouTube? Am I entertainer? Am I PhD research? I have no idea.
I
I'm
think you're
I'm
all of
I'm
it.
I'm here for the ride. If I can keep doing what I'm doing and just I have no freaking clue what I'm like. All
Okay,
I know is
take it
yeah.
a notch down. Where, in terms of your breeding projects and your actual keeping of animals,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
what what direction, or what is your interest? Like, I know you keep some different varieties of terrapins, you have some
Sure.
different animals, but like,
Sure. I
where do you
love,
see
yeah.
yourself going?
Yeah, I love that because I question that every day. Because here I am with three beautiful ornates, and now I have six intergrades, and um, because how do I put it? I call it terrapin fever, and it's a curse. It's a blessing and a curse. People just get so caught up,
That
and
guy has it often.
oh yeah,
Oh, I look the right way.
it's just the more you want the next coolest thing, the best thing, and that's just with everything in life. Try to understand what you have, be happy with what you have, And recently I've been getting caught up in the whirlwind again, and I'm starting to stop, slow down, look at what you have, look at what you've made, how far you've come, look at the animals that you have. I mean,
I remember a Dan that said he wasn't going to keep ornates. I remember that Dan.
That Dan might still exist, I mean, except for I promised Sue that Crush is sticking with me. That's the only thing. That's the only freaking thing. But I mean, as far as me, it's hard because when you think about, there's the moral thing, the environmentally better thing to do. There's the more responsible route to go down. And then there's that dark side of the money that can be involved that you can get, the ease that you can slip up and start doing things a little illegal, some things that you're not really allowed to do, especially with terrapins. I think that I'm kosher with everything so far, but, it's sort of trying to be more responsible. So for me personally, I like concentrics. I like big, stupid, bold pattern concentrics. I like the crowns. They're like what I'm going for. The big blotchy ones, the ones with the lines on their plastron. Those are my favorite. Just straight up.
Whites or blues?
Whites.
Okay.
The blues are great, but I haven't really seen many blue crown. Maybe that might be something to work towards.
And I think that's a big key element that at least you're in a realm of realizing is that, like I think we've all done. We've had everything. Whether it's species or whatever, but then you're like, oh crap, like you get that moment to where you're like, okay, I've had it multiple times, but it's like maybe I need to stick to a niche here. What really
Exactly.
tugs at why I'm doing
Resonates.
this in the first place. So
Exactly.
if you ever lose sight of that tug, man, you're talking about that dark side. You're already going down that dark side because you've already lost that tug of why you're even doing it, and you can have all the extra bonuses that come along with whatever you're doing, but at the real raw root of it, if you can't just go into your setups or just go into your with your animals and spend time with your animals for what it's worth for that moment, not for any other variables, that moment with them. If you ever lose sight of that, man, that's it's almost like that's why how we were talking about before, the automatic thing, like I don't want to lose sight of just going in and just wake up.
It's
Let's
with anything. It's with anything. You have everything. These people, they get everything they've ever wanted. They have all the
quickly.
whatever. They get it all like that. They have all the turtles, or be it power,
Microwave
be it
generation.
whatever. Yeah, they have everything they ever wanted. So why do they feel nothing? And so it's like, because sometimes it's, how did you get there? I found out that those some of my most rare, like beautiful, like my two concentrics, they're from a poacher, and I am like, now I'm sure of it. And it's like, it's the morality of it, and realizing like, okay, I did not research enough and I screwed up, and like I now have to live with this, knowing that these two are supposed to be out there and not in here. And it's sort of realizing I've been offered poached mangroves, and I said, hell no, I said, put them back, like, it's not getting caught up in it. And it's so hard, especially because I feel like I haven't the experience that some people have. It's easier for some of my mentors to tell me, Dan, you're stupid if you do that. But being young and stupid, like I'm messed up with those two concentrics. And it's just trying to do what's best for the species in the end, and not what's best for you. You want to keep keeping terrapins, then you need to keep them where they belong, which is the wild. Someone the other day on Facebook found a spotless ornate, and I messaged her. I said, what are you doing with it? She said, releasing it. I said, thank you. She said, some people message me offering money, and I said, no. Like, that's where it's at. That's what it's all about. Not getting caught up with it. not getting too caught up with the physicality, because you won't be happy. You just won't be unless you're doing what you know is right.
Yeah.
And so that's why, that sort of brings up more recently, like the integrates. I'm not happy that I have integrates. I'm so ecstatic that I have hatchlings, but I don't want them breeding because they disrupt the genetic stability of the subspecies in the wild. Just in case something happens, I don't know. I like to think that we've got them, and you make sure to keep track of what subspecies is what. That way, just in case, I don't know what could possibly happen, but just to try to not make them mutts and make them breed and get too many of them. It's just being a responsible keeper, staying away from the things that will drag you down that dark path. I found out recently, some of the people down in South Florida that just want money, they're like dealing with drugs and starting to get into really nasty stuff, and they're reptile guys, and the reptiles get caught up in that, and it's just horrible. It's just keeping your head on straight, doing what you know is right. I would talk to, my favorite thing was I was talking to my ex, and I was saying, I'm like, this lady, I'm pretty sure she's poaching, but like these things, she had another group of concentrics after these two. I was like, I don't know, I might get. She goes, Dan, you know what's right. You know exactly what's right. You know what's wrong. You just don't like to do it sometimes. I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, yep. That was that. And from then on, it's just been it's been exactly. It's just been the hippie road, doing what's right. You just do what's right, man. It's not about the money. But when there's thousands and thousands of dollars involved, it's difficult. But it's just keeping your head on straight and moving forward.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
It's not getting caught in the Terrapin fever, as I say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Terrapin fever has hit me pretty hard. I have, at one point or another, owned 6 of the 7 subspecies. So, I'm like,
I had how many? I had 16 like a year ago or something over the winter, and I had to downsize it. I'm like, okay, let's focus on what I want, because right now my issue is my northerns and that centrata female, I don't mind mixing just because they naturally integrate. So like that I'm okay with, especially because they look so similar and whatnot. I don't think it's a big spiel. But now that I'm having these ornates, I'm thinking like when I have my own place or something, or what I'll do to keep them separate, be a responsible keeper, prevent the integrates, try to stop that from happening. My hatchlings are only going to people who won't breed them. They're only going to pet keepers and stuff. And if it happens, you can't always prevent it. And some people were giving me a little bit of grief in my Facebook comments. I was so excited, and they're like, "Oh, cool, kill him." And I'm like, I don't need that right now. Like, I need to be happy, and I'm very happy that I got my babies, but like, it happened, it's fine, but I'm going to be responsible about it now and try to make sure that they go to the right
some of the most beautiful terrapins that have ended up on the face of this earth have been integrates, unfortunately.
And they do nothing for the benefit of the species in the end. I've talked to some of the people on, let me tell you, Chinese Terrapin Instagram is a whole nother, not even just Chinese, just because there's people in Korea and Japan who are like, Asia. Okay. Yeah. Ridiculous. And I'm like, that's an integrate. And they're like, no, it's pure only. I'm like, no, it's not. You can't have a flowerback mangrove. That doesn't, probably in the wild somewhere. Yeah. But like, you really want to tell me that that's totally 100%? Especially the Texans. They have all those Texans that are just crazy. And I'm like, I don't doubt that you can get there, but integrades are, as I say, a shortcut. They're a shortcut. They're a way to just cheat and get your way to the nicer stuff. But there's no, you can't. You can't.
Can't beat a purebred, right? That's why you look at dogs, you look at anything else. You pay some top dollar, man, for that purebred bloodline, man.
But I'm also not like exactly. But then it turns into that, and I'm like, no, it's like it's not like This is not like a keep the race pure kind of thing. It's because mutts are some of the healthiest that there are. Like my dog, he's a freaking Schnauzer poodle.
Well, I mean, you look at the Ridgeback. I mean, it took 3 or 4 different breeds to even make that breed, and now it's an established breed. I think it's the consistent thing. Like you look in Steven Shoes and book and stuff, like some of the integrates that have been consistent, actually, not just been a random like.
For sure,
like
thing, like mine are kind of like all over the place. But I think that the fact that there are 7 recognized subspecies, keeping them as 7 recognized subspecies is like very important to me, at least, because that's more conservation based, and then there's some who are more like hobby, trying to make something cool based, which is fine too. But I don't know. I've also been brainwashed by Jordan, so he's like, integrates bad. I'm like,
we are at a point where we have to wrap it up, Dan.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. I'll talk forever. Don't let me.
No, it's been a pleasure. I'm gonna have to post in the comments for the viewers when we stream it. This has been our longest podcast officially. We're at 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 30-something seconds.
Sorry,
beat out by like 5 minutes.
Yeah, you beat out the U.S. Art guy, Ryan McVeigh. So, I mean, I'm not surprised because
we were just having casual. I mean, that's what happens when you have casual conversation with someone that which is this is what it's all about. It's just we're able to just talk and communicate and make things real raw, and that way, whatever comes out is organic, man. So
for sure.
No, man.
Stuff, man. Learned a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll be in the comments answering stuff too, because I think it'll be fun.
Awesome, man. It'll be me and you and not him or.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm over here.
That'll be great. I can't. That's just. It's so exciting.
I will say.
I might have you beat with the hatchlings, bro. So.
Oh yeah. Double clutch. You guys had me dying before. Oh my god. Kept saying double clutching. I was losing.
Well, what do you think is going to be my first picture and comment and everything? It's going to be.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Double clutched.
Yeah.
He's gonna take a picture of his wife and be like, "Got my big mama."
Got my big mama. Yeah. Guess who's the star? Guess which man?
It's gonna be good stuff, man. I'm excited. So yeah, keep
integrates.
I'm purebred, bro. Come on, man. So,
no, it's definitely been a pleasure. You've definitely been a supporter of the podcast since day uno. So I appreciate that, man. It's
for sure. I love it.
It's been great. Make sure you let the viewers know real quick when your next video should be uploaded, man.
When is this coming out?
This is coming out 25th. Yep, coming out Tuesday, man.
Tuesday. So then Friday. So this Friday. Yeah, there will be a video Friday. So that's 6, 7, 8. I think 28th, maybe 29th.
28th. All right, we'll go with it.
Yeah, Friday. This Friday. From when you're watching this, probably.
Friday. The next Friday.
Hopefully.
All right. Well, this has been Dan the Guppy Man. This has been What the
Chill
podcast. It's been a pleasure. We're at an hour 52 minutes in. It's about to be an hour and 53 seconds. Guys, we know we've been rambling. We appreciate you coming on. This has been episode 15, man. You guys have a great evening, and we'll see you next time.
Holla.
Peace out.